everyone. It's been not that long. I did the Fold review not that long ago, but it definitely has been some time coming because I've had this here for a couple days and I just have yet to touch or unbox it. So I wanted to do a video about that. And by the way, if you hear any licking or squealing, that's my dog under the camera. And if you hear any kicking, screaming, or yelling, disregard that. Long story. Okay, so back to the Pixel tablet, which I'm gonna admit right off the bat, I was super excited with this until I found out that unlike the Nest Hub Max or the Nest Hubs, it doesn't act like a Nest camera. Because I really do use that to kind of act as a sentry camera for my front door, and I can't do it with that. But there are two, I believe, 8 megapixel cameras on this, which are pretty useful. So I'm gonna treat this more of a tablet that also happens to have a dock and also happens to do home control. And let's see how useful that is for someone like me, and maybe you if you are also heavily invested in Google products at home, meaning Nest products. I have a lot of Hue lights and quite a few other things. And I'll definitely be setting that up as I get this out of the box ever so slowly. Come on. There you go. Substantial thump. Pretty cool graphic in the front. It does show that this comes with a dock. I remember when I went to Best Buy to get this. They were like, oh, do you want the model with or without the dock? And I'm like, is there a model without the dock? And he's like, I thought we did. He's like, we had a SKU for it, but then when he checked, there was no such model, which makes sense. So maybe at some point they were planning on having a model without the dock for probably like $100 less, which makes sense. So I got the hazel color because I wanted the black. This is weird. Why add a sticker if I can't peel it? Okay, I wanted the black borders and kind of a color that just wasn't porcelain, since I have so many things that are porcelain. And if you're like me and you're looking at this right now and saying that is not hazel or green in any way, it's gray, it's because, yeah, kind of looks almost exactly like gray. I see a hint of green, may not come across in the color there, but yeah, it's kind of like a medium gray with maybe a tinge of an olive green in there. But there is the black bezel, 11-inch screen. What is it, like 10.9? Some documentations of getting started, and that takes the fun out of it. So let's get rid of that, figure it out as I go along. Here is the dock, and the dock is gray. Now, they don't say that this is hazel. This is actually considered the gray fabric dock. If you have a Hub Nest Max, you know exactly what this is like. Even the regular Hubs, this is a larger version of that. It's also kind of the texture material of the Nest Minis. So, that's there. We have the power brick. And if you're thinking, yay, finally a power brick. Well, all Nest products and all these Hubs always came with this type of power brick with the barrel charger, not USB-C, which is unfortunate, and the substantial size wall brick here. And anything else? Nothing else. I do see that the brick underneath has a hole there, which is probably universal for some Euro models. The US models do not get, I'm just assuming. Now let's go ahead and get these boxes out of the way. Random little side note here, but I absolutely love keeping these little clips that come with all these Nest Google products, because I usually use them to, short of the stuff that I can link below that I use for wire management, like behind TVs and stuff, I love using these things. They're pretty substantial and they hold quite a lot, so yeah, I got 2 more. Okay, great. Thank you, random smart plug adapter. Let's go through the process of starting this up. It's actually not that different with the stylization of the unfolded Google Fold. Let me go ahead and lock this on the screen focus wise so it's not gonna mess with me here. Alright, so once you type in your Wi-Fi password, you get through a couple of the setup parts. The screen looks great though. What does it measure at? Now it says they say like what, 10.9? Let's see that. Let's see, edge to edge, and yeah, just under 11 inches. So the cord actually seems a little short. It measured just under 5 feet. And under 5 feet is either what the Nest Max Hub was, or just a little shorter than that, which isn't really the best when you want to have a display around for people to access. You know, if you have it on a side table or something, you'd want a cord that's like 6 or 8 feet so you can just put it anywhere, you know? All right, so here's where you have a chance to copy apps and data. I'm going to click next, and it says you can connect it to your old phone, whether an Android phone or an iPhone. That includes, your LG, your Motorola's and Samsungs and Pixels and stuff like that, and it will go ahead and take what it can. Now, if I connect this to my Pixel phone, it'll probably bring over quite a few things, but I actually probably want to start this from scratch. I kind of want to leave it as a separate entity and not like a big screen copycat of what my phone is, minus the mobile data stuff. So I'm going to click back here, and I'm going to press don't copy. Now, if you want to know what the copying process is like, take a look at my Pixel Fold phone, because my Fold phone part 1 review, the very first one, because I go through that and this is almost identical. All right, so basic device backup. Yeah, sure, I'll use that. It takes data from my Google One or Google Drive. Not sending usage statistics or data. Click accept. Limited warranty, you can read it if you tap on your country, and then legal additional stuff. In a sense, I'm pretty sure they're saying that this can explode and murder your family and you still would not be able to sue Google. So, maybe read it if you're interested about that stuff. So, all right, set up a pin. I wonder if this is kind of, well, it should be, just like the Fold, a backup to when the fingerprint fails, because like the Fold, the power button, which is a recessed button right up here, acts as the fingerprint reader, which is super convenient, honestly. All right, hold 1 second. Let me get through this. And there you go. After you set up your PIN, yes, it wants you to set up your fingerprint unlock, which I will agree with. And like the Fold, I suggest that you do whatever primary finger you plan on using at least twice. Register it as 2 separate fingers, and make sure you move your finger around and get all those nuances. Since this is so recessed, the fingerprint reader, it's almost flat where I don't really feel where it is. So I'm gonna have to really look in there. Yeah, because I keep missing this. So since I plan on using my thumb as well as I hold this, I'm kind of trying to hold it how I would and then put my thumb up there, see where that would naturally rest. So I went ahead in my index finger and my thumb. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to agree to that. Since this is acting as a home hub, I do want the assistant to hear me and be able to work, even while it's playing videos or whatever. I do want to match so that I can get the hey G word to work, and that's setting that up. Setting up anything else. Yeah, you could, well, it's interesting. It's giving me all the phone options. So you have the identified music around you. Yeah, I guess I can turn that on, but honestly, this is what's probably going to be playing music. Do I want to show stuff, show sensitive content only unlocked? Yeah, sure, we'll leave that there. I'm gonna make sure that it only shows the sensitive content when it's unlocked, because this is going to be sitting on a table where anyone that's visiting my home can access this. So I definitely don't want to show everything. Do I want to add another account, change the text display so you can go ahead and make fonts a little bit bigger if you needed, which for something this large, probably wouldn't hurt, especially if you're going to have older guests in your house or anybody that has any vision issues that will ever use this device. You can do that. So I'm just going to press done, next. Tips, dear God, I always say no to this, I still get it. So somehow, even if I say no, I still get emails about these. Swipe to navigate. Sure, I'll give it a try, but I'm going to skip the tutorial since I know how to use that. If not, you can go ahead and go through a few steps. Skipping it. If you want to again, do you want it? Yeah. Let's set up hub mode now. That's what we're here for. Continue. Choose a background. Alright, I'm going to choose a placeholder background, but eventually I will have my own personal Google Photos as a background here. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, choose art gallery. Next. Art gallery. Okay, let's just go ahead and do street art. Next. Okay. So I manage 2 homes with my Google Home. So I'm going to just go ahead and select the one that pertains to this house. Click next. Where is this device going to be? Say living room. Help improve tablet dock. You can definitely help if you don't mind. I'm going to say no thank you. All right, I do have my YouTube Music linked to this. Also a Pandora, Spotify account. I'm not linking to this. Video services. Yeah, I have a couple video services already linked here. Okay, so when this is hubbed, if anyone can talk to it, yes. Okay, so given that this is acting as a central home hub, I definitely wanted to have, I wanted to listen to anyone, not just my voice with the voice match. So in order to use this as not just a personal tablet, as an actual hub for the whole household, this is where you definitely want to click I agree. Okay, hub mode's all set. It's gonna go ahead and show me what I went through, just showing there how it's locked. Install an update. Okay, so there's already a day one update on this. I wonder if it is the July update, because we are already in July and the July update just came out, and this device has been out for at least a couple of weeks. So I'll let that update. Okay, so the update is still downloading in the background. It says tap a few more things to finish. They always do this where they want to see if you want to add anything else. Let's see what else it possibly needs here. Copy your data. Nope, I'm pretty sure it said no to that. Wow, I'd really want you to copy something over, huh? Alright, so it took me back to everything I had before, except this time it's showing you some pro tips where you can tap on and it'll show you videos and things like that. I'm going to click all done here. Okay, so here is a rough layout of the screen. I love that they're still going with that feather theme. To the left, you do have your Google feed, just like the Fold. Let's see over here on the right, nothing. I'm sure that I can just move my widgets over as needed. Sure, okay, so we have a Google TV there. We have various things. I'm sure resizing is the same as always. Let me go ahead and move this over. Not all widgets are resizable, but if you want a big ass clock here for everyone to see, that's pretty cool. Again, if you press and hold any empty area, you do have your widgets, your wallpaper, and home settings, which is where you will find that you can add your app icons to a screen, so you can have a collection of apps appearing on an empty space anywhere on your home screen, and it will fill up the empty spaces as available, kind of like the app system where you have all your apps to the side or on your home screen. I usually like to have the app drawer because I don't like a messy screen. That just may be me, so you can go ahead and tap that off. Swipe across to get the Google app, so that's a Google feed on the left side that you saw me swipe. I definitely like that. Overview, suggestions, suggest actions. Okay, so that is if you were to press and hold on something, this here. So these suggestions you have. And the cool thing with this is they've now added this top section, which is the multi-screen or when you're multitasking here. So I can go ahead and say, yeah, open up settings on the left side. So it's opening that up there. I can choose to open something up on the right side. Let's see if I just go ahead and choose the Play Store. So there you go. We already have the multi-screen set up. You could expand, swipe up to go home. New thing comes from the Pixel Fold. If you swipe up slowly, you get your tab mode where you can see all your open apps here, but you also get the little floating bar here, which you can have in any app. Okay, so I have Chrome open. Here's this is what I love about the tablets. Okay, so thanks to foldables and the new tablet ecosystem they have with the Google, and I can't wait to see Android 14. We do have things in desktop mode. You'll actually have tabs in your Chrome like you do on a desktop or a computer or laptop, so that's great. Very useful. You can move around, you can share tabs between devices, vice versa. If you're in any app and it's in full screen mode like this is, you slowly swipe up and you get that bar back. And this is how you can open up the rest of your apps. Or you can go ahead and open up another app. The other thing that I wanted to go over was going ahead and, taking any of your apps from the bar. You can just copy them over. If you want to replace an app on this bar, I believe you can. Hold on one second. All right, sorry, it is a little different from the Fold here. If you want to update any of the apps here in your bar that always sit here, and I believe the last ones are constantly updating to the last thing you had open, you can pretty much take one of your apps and then replace whatever you have in the bar here. So I'm going to replace YouTube with settings. Oh, look at that. So I went ahead and I did a tool folder. So let's I definitely don't want that in there. Let me see if I can get settings out of here. Tap on that. Get YouTube out of there. There you go. So you pretty much drag on your home screen to any of these apps in order to update that app there. And of course, swiping from the bottom. Not from the bottom, sorry. Swiping from anywhere on the screen that is not occupied by a widget or icon will bring up your app drawer. Swiping down anywhere will bring down your shade with your notifications and your options here. So I have 46 apps to update without bringing anything over. So pretty much this is an update for every single thing that exists on the tablet. This is why it's actually really important to make sure you get Wi-Fi set up when you set into these tablets. Now, this doesn't have 3G or mobile data, so it's the only way to get it done. But I start the process as soon as it's possible because, sometimes depending on your speed, it can just go ahead and take forever. And Google Chrome, whenever I update Google Chrome while it's open, look at that, I thought I said the Google word. Whenever I have it open, it gives me an issue. So I'll wait for all of these to be done. I'll see if there is an additional update that needs to be done first, then I'll just go ahead and I'll update Google Chrome. But another thing is just swiping all the way up. Here's Chrome, get Chrome out of there, and then I'll see if that successfully updates. So if you ever have that issue. And books has been added. Great. Fun stuff. Definitely going to dig into it again once it's all done. Alright, so I know I'm jumping around in this review, but I will say I've had this for over a day now, and it's pretty damn convenient. So I pulled it back out here. I normally keep it in my living room, which I'll probably go to later on in this video if you see some insert shots. But I'm going to start some blurring now since I wanted to put my personal info on this so that I can have all of my devices in my house. If I put a third-party email or one of my junk emails that I usually test these things with, it won't show my smart device since they don't have permissions. So I'm just going to go into the home app, which if you go into hub mode, this is where you have access to all your things. Now there's going to be a lot of blurring going on at this point, and I'll just say that I'll be describing everything I can. So first and foremost, in this section here, you'll have cameras, lighting, Wi-Fi, climate. At least that's what I have in my smart home setup. For cameras, I have not a dozen, I have 8, a mix between Nest cameras and Google cameras. So you have your feeds here on the right side. For lighting, it says I have 18. Now it breaks it up into actual rooms. So if you see like in my bedroom, I have 2 lights. One's this show a caution symbol or they're faded off or either unplugged or disconnected at the moment, which I know this night light is. Then Wi-Fi, I have the Google Nest Wi-Fi hub, and that shows my points and it shows that my my actual connection is great. It'll even let me share things. So then I can go back to my favorites. Let me go back to my favorites here. And in my favorites, I put the key things I get here, which usually my front door bell camera, which if someone actually rings my Nest Hello doorbell camera, it will pop up here and I can talk to the person at this end. A couple cameras I have here, and also my Nest cooling, which I have set to 73 now. Devices, pretty much show you the entire list of your devices here. So this will go through Android TV, smart locks, pretty much your whole entire list of everything here. Automations is if you've set up dozens of automations, like I have a bunch of Christmas lights and things to turn on and off in the mornings and at nights and stuff like that. So automations are pretty much what replaced tasks that I would do with third-party things back then. Thanks to the newer versions of Google Home, I can do them here, which is actually pretty convenient. If you guys are interested in this, I can definitely do a video on a couple that I've made or a walkthrough on how to do these. So yeah, feel free to comment if you're curious on going through some automations. Activities is things that recently happened, so sounds on certain cameras and things like that. So again, things are still blurred here. I'm sorry for that. Just and then settings, we have privacy settings, we have services. This is where you can add, a new device. I mean, the adding a new device is there pretty much the whole time, but you can definitely go through things. You can reorder, edit all your things here, and then if you have multiple homes set up, you click on here and you'll have your multiple homes pop up for you to choose. You can also put your home in home or away mode here. Let me get out of here. The other thing I wanted to show was that short of it just being a really convenient tablet, I've just installed media consumption apps in here. So we have Disney Plus, Max, Nest, Hulu, Netflix, Paramount, etc. And then the other thing is it's a pretty cool comic reader. So I just went ahead and let me see if I had something pulled up here. Let's see if I just, yeah, so it's a pretty cool comic reader. I mean, if you do the 2-page view, you can get things probably a little bit larger than an actual comic. And then if you were to actually go to a page where it should be vertigo, go ahead and, excuse me one second while I go ahead and rotate that. So, I mean, it's pretty much, let me focus on that. It's pretty much larger than a regular size of a comic or a manga if you're into that. And for e-reading purposes, it's pretty cool because honestly, it's really lightweight, which is something I appreciate. Let me go ahead and put it back on the dock here. Give me 1 second here. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still not used to exactly where it needs to go. I will admit, I usually start from the bottom and I just slide my way up and it snaps at some point. But yeah, maybe I gotta get used to that more. While I have it off, let me just go through a couple things here. First and foremost, we have some rubber feet on the bottom here, which at first, of course my focus is on. At first, I thought these rubber things were kind of buttons or something. No, they are just rubber feet because this is the bottom side. So it's very easy to hold because the plastic backing, which is metal with some type of plastic coating, which I'm not the biggest fan of. It reminds me of the Pixel 5 plastic coating. It's pretty cool if you're holding something because it is quite large. But when you have your hands along the side here and you're resting along this rubber feet, it makes it easier to hold, you know. My hands are pretty large, so I can hold it without a problem, but I've seen my wife hold it like so and it's easier. Plus, if you're going to lean it against something, so let's say I'm not putting in a dock, but instead I just want to lean it against something, those rubber feet do help a little bit with gripping if you get that right angle. This is a correct angle. Anything less, it'll probably start to slide, but I've already put it up against a couple things while I was watching some videos while eating, you know, just to test it, and it worked pretty well. Now, I've seen other reviews for this, and I'm not going to lie. What made me not get this day one was that the Nest Hub Max that this was supposed to replace uses the front camera as a Nest security camera, which I have in the entryway of my house, and this does not do that. So I cannot have Nest recording or monitoring on this, which is a shame. So I decided to put this somewhere else in the house, somewhere central, like a living room, so guests can probably use it. So that's why I don't have a lot of personal apps on here. And I'm definitely going to be using that whole multiple users. But again, even if you didn't have that, if someone were to just randomly turn this on and press the home button, they should be able to get into some of your home options you have set up for users. Give me a second here. So back to what I was saying is that checking reviews, finding out they didn't have the Nest camera was kind of a letdown, but I've heard in reviews a couple of other things. So I heard that the screen wasn't the best. It's not a 120 hertz screen or anything like that. Well, it is a 60 hertz screen, and if you do watch YouTube videos at 60 frames per second, an HDR YouTube video, that's probably like a 2K video, this thing looks amazing. The other thing is I heard that the speakers are kind of whatever. Again, I don't know what tablets they're comparing them to. I guess they're comparing them to an iPad or a Samsung S8 because that's something that's around that price range. Because this is $500 with the dock, but let's be real, the dock being technically $100 to $130, this should be compared to around $350. I'd say compared to around $350 tablets, which you can still get a decent tablet for, but the speakers on this aren't that bad. I actually really like them. The dock introduces a lot more bass, and unfortunately, and I'm sure they're going to fix this with an update, once it's connected to the dock, you only use the dock speakers. I would hope that you'd be able to use the dock plus the 4 speakers on this, because it does have 2 on each side, which would actually probably create a much more fuller sound, given that these are more trebly and the bottom one's more bass, so these would act as tweeters, but it doesn't do that. So the dock sound sounds similar to a Nest Max Hub if you have one of those, so it's good enough. And the speakers on their own, surprisingly, I didn't realize that they were missing that much bass until I connected it to the dock, but surprisingly, for a tablet, especially since the tablets I've had lately have been cheap tablets, the speakers on these things are pretty damn good. And there's really good separation, given that this is already like 11 inches of space here. I get a lot of good left to right separations, especially when I hold it to the side and I'm cupping these speakers. It works really well. The screen, like I mentioned, it gets bright enough for a tablet. It works well. And the responsiveness to this, it's a Tensor 2. Same thing we have on the Pixel Fold and the Pixel 7. Given that this probably doesn't have any mobile or antennas or anything to be constantly running in the background like cell phones do, this has been running really smooth. I've only put like a minimal game on it, like I had Fruit Ninja on for some kids to play with and stuff like that, and it was fine. I haven't put Genshin Impact on it. I may actually do a further app testing with this, but everything I need for it to be a media device, something to be Chromecast 2, something to control home controls, this is more than enough power. And again, it's just super convenient to be able to just take your tablet with you, or, and I'm probably going to do this on a trip I have coming up, I'm probably going to take the tablet with me and the dock. So rather than bringing like a laptop to watch something at some type of hotel room, I have no problem just connecting that and using this as a device, because I don't even need this to have Wi-Fi, because I hate connecting a lot of these devices to hotel Wi-Fi's. I'll just Chromecast off of my phone if I have a decent enough 5G, and where I'm going I know I will, and then this will just be my Chromecast output device, so in a sense an external display for my phone. Okay, so here we go. We have the Google Pixel tablet on the left and the Google Nest Hub Max on the right. So this right here was, before this came out, technically the latest and greatest Google Home Hub device, and when this was announced, I immediately thought that this was a replacement for this, and that is not true. Not just the fact that this is still around or anything, but there are things that the Nest Hub Max can do that this can't do, and vice versa. But I will always say that I thought that this would be such a cool device, given that it's already on a base with this very thin tablet screen on it. It'd be such a cool device if one day you can eventually just pop the tablet off of it. You know, I remember writing a post about this like 2 years back when I finally got this, and go figure, that's what this is. So when this was announced, I immediately thought, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get the Pixel tablet. But I got so used to having this by my door that whenever the doorbell rang or anything, I had, you know, all of my devices and all my things that I can handle and stuff like that right there on my front door. And I had a lot of cool features here. I can go to home control. I can have everything I need right here that this has, minus a few things. So when we go to home control, we don't really have this same layout, even in hub mode. What we have is we have the Google Home layout on the left side, which is the same thing you get on the Google Fold or any Android phone, quite honestly, if you set it up. And I really like the idea of just having something that's called media and communication and family and home control. It's kind of a bit easier to figure out. I know in my favorite sections I can just go ahead and put what I need, but I wanted a guest to be able to come into the house and be able to use these devices without explanations. Oh, and just to point out, if the screen seems really yellow here, it's because this has the auto tone on, which it tries to match the lighting, and I have a very yellow light hitting this screen, so please disregard that. This screen on this is pretty good for what it is. So we don't have the Nest camera option, so I can actually go onto here or I can go onto my phone and see what this is recording. I have it on privacy mode right now, so I don't trigger a bunch of things. But we do have all of the control options just laid out differently. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the dream for this was this, to be able to pull this out and have a tablet to take with you, and just have the dock sit there as more of a charging station / additional speakers. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see if I can cast music to both of these so you can kind of hear the speaker difference, even though I'll say they're not that different. But before I get into that, let's talk about the screens again, because take a look at this. Can you see that pretty much this tablet is practically the size of the hub? With these much thinner bezels, you went from a 10-inch screen to about an 11-inch screen here. So that's pretty cool. On top of that, take a look at how thin it is. It's practically the same thickness, if not a little thinner. So the Pixel tablet is definitely thinner. It has the same dual speaker array on the top here, like most phones do. Let me see if that'll focus there. If that doesn't focus, sorry, but I'm trying to get it to show. It does have the 2 speakers on top. It has the speaker in front. This has the same 2 speakers that normally are on top up front. I can say the hot word and I can have them both be triggered, and they both respond from the same distance. I will say that I don't know if because this is the primary device or the device that has been here longer, that this is the one that likes to respond more so. They'll both hear it, but this will say, oh, it's being answered on another device. So I think that may have to do with the fact that I have to say that, because you can mention what locations these are in, I need to say that this is in the living room as well as this so that it understands the priority or whatnot. You can also tweak the sensitivity on the hey G word so one will respond over the other. But again, I feel like this is like 90% there. I mean, when I compare it to this, I look at them in person, this is awesome. Why wouldn't you add the Nest camera feature? I don't know, maybe it's not a big deal for people, but that was a huge deal for me because I wanted this to replace this, and it's missing for me. One of those things as a person that's so embedded with Nest cameras, I would absolutely love that. The other thing I will say is the resolution is definitely higher on the Pixel tablet. The speakers, like I said, I'll cover that in a second, are practically the same. The ability to have full Android here so that we can install our own apps is absolutely better. We have full Android 13 here. On here, we don't. We have the, I think it was called Fuchsia. I forgot what the code name for this kind of setup it was. And you can't install these just pre-come. And every once in a while, they would add a new one. So Zoom was added and stuff like that. But in a sense, you wouldn't really run apps here. You would just use home controls here, or you would Chromecast to here. We predominantly use this to Chromecast. So I'll Chromecast YouTube music, or YouTube or anything else like that. That's how this was predominantly used. This has the feature to run it on its own if you have Wi-Fi, and it has the feature to obviously be a full tablet. So you do get more with this, and this does cost about $200 more than this. If not, I'll notate on the screen somewhere what the actual price difference is, what the current price for both of these are. But this is substantially more because this is actually 2 products in one. I give them that. Is it worth $500? It's kind of hard to say. I definitely would say anybody would always agree to a lower price tag. But when you see prices of tablets and docks and this tablet dock combo thing that does less, I felt like this probably should have been, quite honestly, instead of $499 for the intro price, $399 to me would have definitely made it more enticing. I don't know the price of parts or what tensors goes for or anything like that to try to explain whether or not that's the reason why this is so pricey. Let's be real. So there's Samsung chips with some customization. So I hope that this drops at least $50 quite soon, before Black Friday, because I don't see anybody excited to go grab these things. And I don't want the actual Google, should I say the Google OEM, the actual tablets from Google, to go away. I don't want Samsung or LG to be the only way you can get a decent Android tablet. I like to see them to come from Google, so I hope this is successful. I hope there's a different future Pro version that's maybe 13 inches with a 4K monitor and can actually do a whole lot more. I hope that this continues to get updated and invested into so that we can use this dock as just a standalone like Google Mini Nest speaker. I want to be able to just cast to the dock when it's alone. I don't know if it has that technology. I don't know if it needs, if it doesn't, I don't know if there's like an antenna in here, if this can connect to the Wi-Fi. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. Maybe there's a teardown on one of these. I'll look into and I'll follow up with you guys. But I feel like this should just cast music on its own, and that this should be on its own too. And then when they're connected, obviously, they act as one device. But yeah, that's the main comparison between this. I'm gonna also go ahead and show the back. I will say, surprisingly, the power adapter for both of these are identical. They provide the same amount of power, they're the same size, you can interchange them, the cords are the same length. If you look at the back here, you do have a volume rocker on the side here. Let me go ahead and make sure there's enough light on here. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so looking at the back here, we have the volume rocker on the Nest Max Hub. We have the privacy switch to turn on and off recording and audio recording. On the left here, in the Pixel tablet, We have the power/fingerprint reader. We have the volume on top. The microphones are on top, where the microphones for this are on front. And then obviously we have the USB-C charging on the side of this for when you're not using a dock. This is one standalone unit, uses the one barrel style charger to connect that. Speakers on this are in the front. Excuse me, sorry, in the front. I meant to say speakers on this are on the bottom, the actual base, where speakers on this are the base and the sides when you're not using a base. I hope in the future you'll have them all over. Also, the obvious big addition is that we do have a 8 megapixel camera in the back, and we have, I believe it's also 8 megapixel camera in the front. The front camera is not as wide as this camera. I feel like the quality between them are probably almost identical. I will also put specs on the two cameras, the two selfie cameras, on the screen either now or in a second, because I think that that is kind of an important feature, since the camera module used here is the reason why this is not a Nest camera compatible device. So I'll point that out there. Other than that, battery life, you can't compare something that needs to be plugged in versus something that doesn't need to be plugged in. This base will only charge it to 90%, so whenever you remove it, at most it'll be 90%. I believe there's a setting where you can go ahead and set that to 100, or a USB-C charger separately would do that as well, but I think that's great for something that's supposed to be on all the time as a hub device, and it's going to be charged all the time. That's definitely going to help battery life, especially if you plan on keeping this thing for more than a year or two. That's great. Battery life unplugged. I mean, I don't know if I've had it long enough. I'll update you guys in the comments probably, but I will say it's not terrible. I have an S7 here. Well, I don't have it here. If not, I'd compare in size, even though it's pretty similar. It's a little bit smaller though. The S7, I feel like the battery life might be a little bit better. I don't know again if that's the tensor at work here. The battery on this is pretty decent, but I used it for an hour. I felt like I lost probably about 15% or so. I wasn't doing anything heavy on it, so I'll follow up with battery life. So let me just go ahead and just stay between these two. This is obviously the better device, given the fact that it's a convertible device. It's more expensive. It does a whole lot more. It does maybe just one thing this one doesn't do. It just, unfortunately, I keep mentioning it because it's the one thing I really wanted it to do, which was the Nest monitoring feature, but everything else it does, and it does a whole lot better. Of course, it's more expensive, but it just provides so much more, and it just came out. I know at some point with firmware updates and stuff, at least for a year, whether or not this is successful, Google's gonna just keep throwing features and updates to this thing. Insert thing here. I mentioned this, but I don't think I showed the fact that you can have users. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and blur out names for privacies, but you can even add kid accounts or guest accounts and stuff like that. If they're not with you and they're a guest at your house and they don't have the fingerprint, you can go ahead and provide them with the code if you so want to give them full access to everything. If not, the other interesting thing is you can have a kind of a guest mode, and it'll create a guest. It'll switch to guest mode. It'll give you limited access to things like that, which, let's see if it'll come up now. There you go. So now this is guest mode, and guest mode gives access to all the primary apps you have installed, not the additional apps, like none of the games or anything there. So it's pretty much the stock apps. So if they want to use this stuff, which is pretty cool. All right, so I want to show one more thing. Apparently the Pixel tablet is USI Stylus compatible, and I have here a Google Pixel book, Chromebook that came with a USI stylus. And as you can see here, I put a brand new battery in it just to make sure that it's working correctly, but it does not work on the Pixel tablet. Sometimes you'll get these intermittent dots. If you see here, kind of can't get smooth dots. Now, mind you, my finger, smooth dot, no problem. It's perfect. Even on the Chromebook, well, right now it's on pen mode, so it's waiting for a pen. It's rejecting hands, but I don't know if something needs to be updated here first. Maybe there'll be an update in order to have this get triggered. There's even a button here for second option here, but yeah, it recognizes it sometimes. Every once in a while I get a line, which is unfortunate. Here's a Wacom pen for a Wacom tablet. Obviously this doesn't have a Wacom digitizer, so that's not going to work. But the reason why I was super excited for something like this to work is because the Pixel tablet has a very strong magnet right there that can hold, well, I think I had it this way. Yeah, it can hold a pen pretty well. I mean, I don't know if that magnet is for the case or not, but it would be so cool if you just had that there. You can just pull that out and write on it. Also, while we're talking about accessories, apparently, like I said, a stylus is coming out, some type of keyboard is coming out. When we have these metal contacts back here that are not just for power, but I believe also for data, possibly, we really got to leverage the hell out of that. There aren't a lot of tablets that have something like this, so a folio case with a keyboard, or even other types of cases or other types of docks or anything. I really hope that Google tries with this accessory wise. I mean, accessories are what really make this stand out. There aren't really many other tablets that have a audio dock. Like I said, I know the Lenovo was it the Yoga or something tried something, but yeah, they just really need to take advantage of this. So here's hoping that they eventually add a stylus at some point. What is the plural for stylus? Is it styluses? Styli? I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google that. So that's my fairly quick / very long review and walkthrough, or at least first initial steps and initial reactions to this. I mean, this is definitely more than initial reaction, given that this video encompassed over a day to make. So I've definitely been playing around with this a lot. I've definitely put at least a good 10 hours of use into it already, of me physically using it, because for almost 2 days I just brought it with me everywhere, and I didn't want to judge the battery life just yet, but it definitely wasn't bad. The Pixel tablet is definitely something that surprised me. Everyone mentioned that the Pixel Fold was going to come out. I mean, the Fold in a sense is a phone and small tablet all in one. I didn't think that after the Slate's kind of failure and negative reviews that this was coming out. I did think that at some point there was going to be an update to the Nest Max Hub. I just didn't think that this would be it. And quite honestly, this may not be it, because this removes the Nest from it, and it removes the Nest features and name. Oh, there's an example of the front door.
Someone's at the front door.
Okay. So if anybody wanted to see how the front door happens, if I went ahead and I tapped that, I'd see a picture of the person, and I could respond to it. So, yeah, perfect. Front door. As I mentioned, this is, if I think of this not as a Nest Hub Max replacement or successor, and I just look at it as its own device, then I absolutely love this thing. It surprised me. I saw quite a few negative, or I wouldn't say negative, but in the middle reviews about this. You know, everyone had pros and cons, and they were kind of like, if you were to give it between a 1 and a 10, everybody would say it's roughly like a 5 to a 7 in the score. I say this thing to me is like, if I did a 1 to 10 scale, like an 8 or an 8.5. I actually really like this. I can see use for this being a person that has a pretty integrated smart home with dozens of Google devices, Hue devices, Nest, and many others, quite honestly, to tell the truth. Like, they're not even on there because I'm not fully set up yet. But I find this to be very useful. I think the price is a bit much. I think it's because of the dock. But the thing is, I feel like then when you use this as a tablet, which I kind of want to use more so than as a hubbed device, I kind of just want to have this as like a sofa tablet, grab it, control my Android TV device. I can use this as a remote control and read some comics, use it as an e-reader, web browsing. I mean, the 11 inches is a perfect size for that, and you do get the full size Chrome with tabs. You don't get the cell phone version of apps. If they're tablet version of apps or even desktop version of apps, that's how they'll run here. It's pretty great. So since this is kind of more of a sofa, couch surfing type of device for me, where sometimes it's a home hub device, I kind of feel like sell a version without the hub. Make it $100 less. Because if this device was $400, I feel like it'd definitely sell well. And I definitely think it can be reviewed even easier. It's just at that $500 mark, you compete with iPads and S8s and Samsung devices, and those win as just standalone tablets. But you can't really compare those because they don't act as a hub per se with an actual dock with Google's integrations. So this has to win if you think of it as a complete device, base and all. So I definitely recommend this device if you're a person looking for just a tablet to enjoy at home, especially for just browsing, and you definitely want home controls, you want something that can be dockable. I mean, what else is there to compete with this? I mean, there are third-party things. There's Lenovo yoga devices that have kind of that feature, but it's not the same. This is definitely better than that. So I'll just leave it at this. I'll have more information coming soon. I recommend it. If you're someone like me, you'd be excited for this. You may have been let down by other reviews, but now that I have it in hand, now I'm super excited for it. You know, I'm definitely going to be using the hell out of this. I may or may not get the case because I don't really see myself taking this out of the house, unless, like I said, I'll take it with me on a trip or something. But I don't see myself taking this with me like I did other devices, you know. But for at-home use, it's definitely going to get a hell of a lot of use. And if you guys have any questions or ideas of how you would use it, or questions about maybe how I've been using it going forward, you know, definitely message me. Leave a comment, ask a question. I'll definitely might have a follow-up review on this if there's a significant update. If there are new features added, any of those things I requested were added, I'll definitely do a follow-up video. If not, it just depends on if you guys have significant enough questions. It'll, make me want to make a video on it, because I will if I could. And I mentioned this in some comments before, but I don't think I'm going to be keeping my Pixel Fold. Nothing really against it. There are just a few negatives, as I mentioned in my review. And I decided to, well, I haven't done it yet, but I plan on pre-ordering the Z Fold 5, and I'm going to give that a shot. In no way do I know if the Z Fold 5 is going to be better than the Fold, not as of July 8th, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But I'm going to give it a shot, and we'll see. And I'll definitely be comparing the two, if anything, if I still have it. But those are future videos I have. I have a couple gaming videos coming up too as well. But until the next one, guys, have a good one.